14-year-old and his family are suing the NYPD over a false arrest and denying the boy insulin for his diabetes. Richard Gonzalez alleges that police were attempting to tie the 14-year-old special ed student to an April shooting at a Foot Locker. Interesting. Now, the boy's family alleges that he was taken to a men's room in the 83rd precinct after being arrested and threatened with balled fists in order to get him to confess to the shooting during questioning. Police removed the boy's insulin pump and threatened to throw his mom, Vivian Ramos, out of the station house when she objected to them questioning her son without her presence. Now, this kid has some serious issues with diabetes, and he needs a pump to administer insulin every hour. But the police had taken away that pump during questioning and then detained him for several days on attempted murder charges. Now, of course, during his detention, he ended up being transferred to several different hospitals before and after his stay at a juvenile facility. Now, according to the lawsuit, he spent about 3 nights in jail sleeping handcuffed to a bed. Now, how's this for treatment?
I mean, it's egregious, and whilst I'm not on the level of police haters, someone like Jimmy Dore, one of my uncles is a superintendent up in Liverpool in the UK, so he's a high-up policeman, and a number of my family work in the police force. This is just, it's atrocious, and I'm glad that the family is suing. I mean, because in essence, okay, the police, whether they're kind of just stupid, completely ignorant as to what kind of insulin is and why he has this little kind of instrument to give him insulin every hour, it's pretty much the same as they've kicked away a guy's crutches when they're arresting him, saying, "Come on, walk with us." And it's like, no, he hasn't got any legs. He kicked away his crutches. You can't do that. It's just atrocious, and it's just bad, lazy police work. I mean, you'll get into the details later about kind of why this kid was arrested, but they just simply didn't care. He had a similar sounding name, so I'll sod it. He'll do. We'll put him in prison. It's just atrocious, lazy bullying by the NYPD, which is something that now people are coming to expect from the NYPD, and it's a real shame because you see the NYPD. It's kind of glorified in the not necessarily in the media, but kind of in Hollywood, in TV, and in film. It's seen as kind of one of those real kind of established and kind of proud to wear your badge sort of thing. And if I were working for the NYPD, I'd be seeing these stories. It's not just on a weekly basis; it's almost on a daily basis now. And I'd almost feel a little bit ashamed to wear the badge because we've all seen how they circle the wagons and are trying to protect their own these days. And, you know, certainly the cops in this case, they need to be sued. And I'd make a case that they should probably be fired as well, because they're certainly not capable of doing the job of protecting the innocent, which is what the police are supposed to do.
Oh, but they're not actually supposed to do that. And the Supreme Court ruled that the police aren't actually there to protect you anymore. And that's really disturbing. Well, let's go to Sean.
I just want to point out, I know we've discussed this ruling before, but the Supreme Court has always ruled that you can't sue the police for not protecting you, because people would say they didn't get to me in time and file lawsuits and all that. So that's actually always been the precedent, but that's besides the point. The NYPD, Stephen used the word bullying, I'll use a more accurate word. They tortured this kid. They deprived him necessary medical care in order to induce a confession. Kind of like how we treated people in Iraq. We did not treat them humanely or morally. And this is a kid. And all joking aside, I always make the joke that nobody likes little kids, but don't take away a kid's medicine to survive. It's crazy. And Steven said, one of his family members is a police officer. My best friend, I went to his graduation, works for the NYPD. But he knows this is wrong. You can't do this shit. It's amazing. You can't question a kid without his parent present. And then they threaten the parent because she doesn't want these obviously vicious officers, these vicious human beings who should never be in a position of power over anybody, questioning her kid. They're like, oh, we're going to throw your ass out. That's not the way it works. And they should sue them. And more importantly than suing them is it's time to see some cops go to jail. Because it doesn't matter what kind of cop you are. If you go to jail, you're gonna be in some suffering, and you need to show people in the police force that there are real consequences for this, And I want like the officers involved in jail, and I want officers involved in the cover-up in jail. Because the idea that everybody wraps behind that blue line is total fucking nonsense. You need to separate the good cops from the bad cops. Like, we don't need quote-unquote good cops protecting bad cops. It's a disaster, and it's an embarrassment for the city that I live in. It's an embarrassment for my friend who is an NYPD officer.
Sure. Now, there is a little bit of good news. The Brooklyn DA ended up dropping the charges after learning about the evidence that they tried to use to pin this boy to the attempted murder charge. Now, get this. The evidence is that he shared a first name with someone who was thought to have done the shooting. Richie. Oh, yeah, somebody named Richie did the shooting. Well, there's this kid named Richard. Yeah, we're going to take him. And their other piece of evidence? He was a Facebook friend of the victim. Wow, compelling evidence. Let's go get him. That's amazing. According to the lawyer, quote, they focused on Richie exclusively and disregarded very strong evidence that it wasn't him. What evidence was presented that it wasn't him? The kid who got shot, by the way, he was shot in the foot over some shoes. Now, I kid you not, the kid got shot in the foot because he wouldn't give up his place in line to get some Kanye shoes. That's about the saddest reason to shoot someone ever. But that's not the focus of the story. The focus is how the NYPD tried to put up a lot of pressure on the victim to get him to change the story in order to get the kid that they arrested and tortured to confess to the crime. The lawyer said, quote, they were trying to make the sneaker fit when it was not made to fit. Yes, I realize that's a sneaker pun. Well done.
How fucking lazy do you have to be? Like this is the thing is there's a great movie called The House I Live In or The House We Live In or something like that about the drug war. And one of the points of the movie is that because of the drug war, we pay cops and promote cops because of statistics, and then we end up with cops that have no fucking clue how to solve a real crime. Like, they were trying to intimidate the victim to identify this person based on a first name because they're lazy. So they're like torturers, horrible, bad people who deny kids medical care. And they're incredibly fucking lazy. Like, they don't even care if they get the actual shooter. Like, they just want to have somebody and be like, case closed, good on you. So these cops are also incompetent. They have no idea how to fucking do their job.
I mean, I also just want to kind of reiterate the point again that this was a child. You know, he's an underage minor. They wouldn't let his mother in the room with him at the time when they wanted to question him. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have liked to have been harassed by the police when I was 15 for a crime that I didn't commit, knowing that I'm getting all kind of dizzy and stuff because the police are denying me my medication. I mean, that just, if it was a kind of a 30-year-old, 40-year-old man who they'd taken his insulin injector away from him, then okay, that's still bad. But it's a child, for Christ's sake. It's appalling. And just on a kind of a slight side note as well, I'd just like to say thanks a lot to America. It's now currently in the UK. Without any great fanfare, we now have our first police force up in Glasgow in Scotland that are now permanently armed with a sidearm, with a Glock pistol. So now we're starting to militarise our own police force over here as well. So thanks, Obama. Well, not necessarily Obama, but thanks, America in general.